entire chapter.
Uh-huh.
I also, I did something else, but I don't remember what it was. I got a bag of popcorn. Oh, I put Marilyn Monroe's
remember?
toes onto the
Really
overlay.
You put what? Where?
Toes.
Oops.
Toes. Yeah.
What about toes?
These are the toes of the greatest Ulysses scholar mankind has ever seen.
Hold on, I've rotated my PDF
Oh yeah,
on
yeah. I
accident.
got face rig set up.
Oh.
Except it's not tracking because my lights are off. All right, there we go. Huh. Ah, close enough. It's a little lopsided. Fuck. Huh. I can't get the stand on the webcam. Come on. There. Huh? Alright, I swear it was working. Alright, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So, this chapter sucks.
It's not a riveting read. I will say that.
I
Not one
wanted
of the
to
better
gouge
chapters.
my eyes out.
Are we streaming? Or...
Oh, yeah, we're live. We're live.
Okay.
Oh, good. We gotta greet the bookers then.
What's up, bookers? Leopold Bloom here with another episode of Book Club. Featuring Gertie, Don...
McGillicuddy.
It's not... There was a McGillicuddy in the book earlier.
Was there? Oh yeah.
It was in one of those, like, word dumps in Chapter 12. Gertie McDowell.
Yeah.
So let me set the scene here. So, alright, backstory. This chapter is called Nausicaa. After the book of the Odyssey, Nausicaa. In the Odyssey, Nausicaa comes after Calypso. Calypso being the island with the witch that turns them into pigs. So after they get unpigged, they end up on another island, and Odysseus like falls asleep in some bushes.
Just like lays down for a
Yeah,
nap.
he's like, I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep next to this river in a bush.
Yeah.
And Princess Nausicaa and her maids in waiting come down to the river to do laundry. Because I guess
Okay.
Greek princesses just did their own laundry.
Well, and her maids.
Yeah, but like,
She's there to supervise.
sure.
Yeah.
And so they, some of the maids, like, they're doing laundry, but they're also just like frolicking, right?
Sure.
And some of them are playing.
As you do.
Yeah, as princess maids in Greek myths are wont to do. One of them like throws a ball and it lands like near the bushes that Odysseus is in. And when they go to get the ball, they wake him up. And then he's like, "Please don't kill me." And Nausicaa's like, "Okay."
Wasn't
I'm like, she
planning on
takes
it.
him into the city and feeds him, or something like that. So, this entire chapter takes place over the course of like, I swear to God, it's like 2 minutes.
Are we in JoJo's time?
Yeah. No, I think it's actually
Passed.
it's
2 seconds have
it's
passed.
the other way around, right? JoJo's time is like, time is stopped for 3 seconds, proceeds to monologue for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This is the other way around. This is 70 pages that takes place over the span of a few minutes.
So good.
Yeah. Like,
Uh-huh.
it seems like it's longer, but actually just nothing's happening.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also longer because this is the longest day.
It is
Is
a
it?
long day.
So the first annotation in the online one says that it's it's pretty close to the summer solstice.
It is June 6th in the novel.
Wait, Nick, did you read this part?
No, I literally just opened up joyceproject.com and started clicking on the notes.
Right, okay.
Damn,
Alright, so
you don't
got
even
your
need us.
annotations. I got my annotations.
I read
which
I actually read it.
according to my annotations, the things we need to be paying attention to is the color blue.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's some blue.
It's because blue is not only the color of beauty, but is of chaste affections and true love.
Okay.
That will come. That will come later. Just gotta remember some of these things. Remember the color blue. Blue means true love and chaste affections. And
There's okay,
also
so you
the
make it
color
sound
of
like there's
virginity.
subtext with blue.
There's a little.
There's no subtext. Okay, Gertie goes on for 20 minutes about how she likes her blue socks. I mean, 20 pages.
Yeah. Right, because as again we're gonna find out as we read through this
Hellscape.
very
Literary
yeah,
hellscape.
it's one of those things where it's very wide but not very deep. This is Joyce, I believe, is just talking about women. This is Joyce's thoughts about love, and he doesn't think a lot about it because he doesn't care.
Yeah. Reading this, it feels like it's supposed to be hashtag relatable, but I am not a 1910s Dublin girl longing for love, so I cannot relate. Right, like, I've got VTubers. That's all the love I'll ever need. I do not spend my evenings looking out my window hoping the handsome neighbor boy will ride his bike by the house. Nor do I sit on rocks and brood. So,
All right, that's enough setup. Let's get into this.
yeah, so this chapter takes place they're down by the beach.
Yep.
They're at like the top of the beach. And it's so we're introduced to three girlfriends, although the friendship is perhaps debatable. They say girl, but these are like late teens, early 20s. Gertie in particular is 21, and they've got some kids with them. So Sissy Caffrey has her twin younger brothers, Tommy and Jackie. And Eddie Boardman has baby Boardman, who is specifically not given a first name.
Why? Because like you didn't count on all your children surviving
No.
sort of thing?
I mean,
or...
Joyce makes an effort to
just-
not tell us the name.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so baby Boardman, I don't know if it's like her baby or if it's her nephew or her brother or what. Actually, I don't even remember if they mentioned the gender of the baby. Just baby gender.
Yeah.
Is in the carriage, right? So the girls have gone down to the beach with the kids to let the kids
Yep.
play or get some fresh air and to talk. And then Gertie is there, but she's not really with them. In fact, she wishes they would go away so that she could brood in peace. So there's also a church sermon or whatever going on like nearby, and the windows are open so they can hear this. So the chapter is kind of punctuated with the events of the Catholic liturgy, of which I am completely unfamiliar.
Yeah.
But,
I'm only
yeah.
vaguely familiar.
So there is a little bit of nice prose. The prose generally is not terrible. It's very homogeneous, I guess, for the first half of the chapter. It really just goes and goes, which makes it hard to pick out any particularly interesting passages because they're all just like... None of the text is actually like bad, but not a whole lot jumps out as like really good. So, are you like just beginning? The summer evening had begun to fold the world in its mysterious embrace. Far away in the west, the sun was setting. and the last glow of all too fleeting day lingered lovingly on sea and strand, on the proud promontory of dear old Howth. So Howth is like a little island off the coast of Dublin. Or maybe it's like not an island, but like an almost island at like the end of like of a bay, peninsula kind of deal. If you get what I'm saying.
Like an outcropping.
Yeah. Promontory of dear old Howth, guarding as ever the waters of the bay, on the weed-grown rocks along sandy mount shore, and last but not least, on the quiet church, whence there streamed forth at times upon the stillness the voice of prayer to her who is in her pure radiance, a beacon ever to the storm-tossed heart of man, Mary, Star of the Sea.
Not to be confused with the dorms on campus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mary, Star of the Sea.
Yeah. Mary, Star of the Sea is an appellation, according to the notes here, of the Virgin Mary. So, like,
Wait,
the form
appellation?
yeah,
Like the mountains.
Like the
No,
mountains?
no, APP, appellation. Which I'm gonna use my context clues here and say that is the form the Virgin Mary takes to guide sailors.
So this is like a Dr. Mario thing, right? Where you've got
What?
Mario the plumber, and then also Mario, Star of the Sea.
Sure.
Yes.
I think what you're getting at is like how Mario like appeared in like Punch Out as the ref and stuff like that.
Wait, that was Mario?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a dude with a mustache.
No, it's all Italians look the same. That's good.
I mean, well, except Luigi, who's like 2 pixels taller and green.
No, but yeah, no, that's what this is. This is just another form that the Virgin Mary takes, and he is drawing comparisons to her, because I guess we have now identified Gertie here as the sort of pure, chaste, virginal form.
Well, hold on,
of
we haven't
woman.
met Gertie yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, she's describing the Rock.
yeah.
Oh shit, man! I'm
And now,
Sure.
all right, now we get to the 3 girlfriends who were seated on the rocks, enjoying the
Yeah.
evening scene and the air, which was fresh but not too chilly. Many a time and oft were they wont to come there to that favorite nook to have a cozy chat beside the sparkling waves and discuss matters feminine. Sissy Caffrey and Eddie Boardman, with the baby in the pushcar, and Tommy and Jackie Caffrey, 2 little curly-headed boys dressed in sailor suits with caps to match, and the name HMS Bellesley printed on both. For Tommy and Jackie Caffrey were twins, scarce 4 years old and very noisy and spoiled twins sometimes, but for all that darling little fellows with bright, merry faces and endearing ways about them. I like how he so Joyce is like, oh yeah, they're so cute, they're so endearing, and then just has them act like obnoxious brats like the entire time.
yeah. Have you met kids?
Because I guess it's supposed to be like, I don't know, maybe it's a commentary on how like women just always love kids even if the kids are little shits or something. I don't know. I love this baby though. Oh man, do I love the baby. Eddie Boardman was rocking the chubby baby to and fro in the pushcar. Well, that young gentleman fairly chuckled with delight. He was but 11 months and 9 days old, though, and still a tiny toddler, was just beginning to lisp his first babyish words. Sissy Caffrey bent over to him to tease his fat little plucks and dainty dimple in his chin. Now, baby, Sissy Caffrey says, say out, big, big. I want a drink of water. And baby prattled after her, a jink, a jawbo. Sissy Caffrey cuddled the wee chap, for she was awfully fond of children. So patient with little sufferers, and Tommy Caffrey could never be got to take his castor oil, unless it was Sissy Caffrey that held his nose and promised him the scatty heel of the loaf, or brown bread with golden syrup on. What a persuasive power that girl had. But to be sure, baby Boardman was as good as gold, a perfect little dote in his new fancy bib. And then the boys start fighting. They get into an argument over the architecture of their sandcastle. The architecture of the sandcastle. So they start fighting, and then the girls make them stop. And then there's this weird dialogue. Tell us, who is your sweetheart? Spoke Eddie Boardman. Is Sissy your sweetheart? They're talking to not Jackie, the other one. Tommy? Timmy? Jackie. No, Tommy. Yeah, they're talking to Tommy. Tell us, who is your sweetheart? Spoke Eddie Boardman. Is Sissy your sweetheart? No, tearful Tommy said. Is Eddie Boardman your sweetheart? Sissy queried. No, Tommy said. I know, Eddie Boardman said, none too amiably, with an arch glance from her short-sighted eyes. I know who is Tommy's sweetheart. Gertie is Tommy's sweetheart. No, Tommy said on the verge of tears. And then, using her motherly instinct, Sissy realizes that Tommy has to take a piss. So she tells Eddie Boardman to help him take his pants off and make sure he doesn't pee on his shoes.
But who was Gertie?
But who was Gertie? Oh, bad. You are about to be
Vsauce,
intimately
Michael
familiar with Gertie and the inner machinations of her mind, which are the least interesting thing you'll ever read.
Oh boy.
Gertie McDowell was sitting near them, but not actually with them, lost in thought, gazing
like me.
far away into the distance. All right. I'm going to skim the next 25 pages. All right, so Gertie is a handsome Irish lass with very, very pale skin. The waxen pallor of her face was almost spiritual in its ivory-like purity, though her rosebud mouth was a genuine Cupid's bow, Greekly perfect. Her hands were of finely veined alabaster, with tapering fingers and as white as lemon juice, and Queen of Ointments could make them. Though it was not true that she used to wear kid gloves in bed, or take a milk foot bath either.
Kid gloves in bed? Is that a euphemism for something?
I don't
No.
know.
No,
I don't know what kid gloves are.
I think kid gloves were literally gloves that children wore.
To
'Cause
make
I know
their
kid
hands
gloves
nice and
have
pale.
later become a meaning, a way of saying taking off the kid gloves, as in
Yeah.
actually getting serious.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah, I think that was the thing at the time too. But no, I think they're talking about the gloves that children used to wear back then as part of children's fashion.
Handle will treat something with kid gloves is to do so with special consideration or in a tactful manner.
So,
But this is literally just kid gloves being made from goat skin.
Oh.
It's not children's gloves. It's gloves made from the skin of young
Made from
goats.
kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah. Uh-huh.
Kid gloves.
Ah, that makes sense.
It all
By
comes
kids
together.
of kids.
Had kind fate but willed her to be born a gentlewoman of high degree in her own right, and had she only received the benefit of a good education, Gertie McDowell might easily have held her own beside any lady in the land, and have seen herself exquisitely gowned with jewels on her brow and patrician suitors at her feet, vying with one another to pay their devoirs to her. Mayhaps it was this, the love that might have been, that lent to her softly featured face at whiles a look, tense with suppressed meaning, that imparted a strange yearning tendency to the beautiful eyes, a charm few could resist. Gertie's eyes were of the bluest Irish blue, set off by lustrous lashes and dark expressive brows. What else we got here? She's got a button nose. She's got a wealth of wonderful hair, dark brown with a natural wave in it. She had cut it that very morning on account of the new moon.
What?
I
It's
don't know.
superstition at the time. Yeah, popular superstition. It is good to cut hair at the new moon by light of the moon itself, but never on a Friday, for it is the most unlucky day of the year. And it's just the references ancient curses, charms, and usages of Ireland, London, 1890.
Huh.
Like,
Okay.
it was just a
Interesting.
superstition
So
at the time.
she got a bit of traditional Irish superstition,
Yeah.
and she is sad. she is sitting on a rock, being sad. She is sad on account of the boy that had the bicycle off the London Bridge Road was always riding up and down in front of her window. Only now his father kept him in the evening, studying hard to get an exhibition in the intermediate that was on, and he was going to go to Trinity College to study for a doctor when he left the high school, like his brother W.E. Wiley, who was racing in the bicycle races in Trinity College University. Little recked he perhaps for what she felt, that dull aching void in her heart sometimes, piercing to the core. Yeah, so she's just very sad that the handsome
Yep.
boy who used to ride the bicycle by her window now doesn't ride the bicycle because he has to study to get into college. Which, like I said, cannot relate. And
Well,
even though that there were Protestants in his family, and Gertie knew who came first, and after him the Blessed Virgin and then Saint Joseph, but he was undeniably handsome, with an exquisite nose, and he was what he looked, every inch a gentleman, the shape of his head, too, at the back, without his cap on, that she would know anywhere, something off the common, and the way he turned the bicycle at the lamp, with his hands off the bars, and also the nice perfume of those good cigarettes, and besides, they were both of a size, too, he and she, and that was why Eddie Boardman thought she was so frightfully clever, because he didn't go and ride up and down in front of her bit of a garden. Yeah, so she likes him because the shape of his head is nice, and he can
And
ride
he
his
has-
bike with no handlebars.
He has an exquisite nose, which I have no
to be
idea
able
what
to
the
do
fuck
that.
what the fuck
That's
the
pretty
picture
cool.
with that description.
Yeah, and she knows that even if she wants to, it can never happen because he's Protestant, she's Catholic. That is not going to happen at this time.
No. She specifically thinks later on that she could love someone even if they were a Protestant because the power of her love would be enough to convert them to Catholicism.
Like the funny thing is, the notes here are like sassing her. Like Gertie is hardly being realistic in what follows.
Yeah,
Slap that down.
yeah, because she's vapid. She's
Yeah.
shallow and vapid and just, ugh. All right, now we're going to get into like 4 pages describing her clothes. You ready?
Oh boy.
She's got a neat blouse of electric blue, self-tinted by Dolly Dyes. She's got a kerchief pocket in which she keeps a piece of cotton wool scented with her favorite perfume, a navy 3/4 skirt, a hat with a
Yeah.
blue underbrim, and a butterfly bow of silk two-tone, which I think means also blue.
Yep.
For 7 fingers, 2 and a penny. She bought a ribbon. What's a chenille? Chenille. I don't know. She got a ribbon in her hat. Nice ribbon. Her shoes, the newest thing in footwear. She prided herself that she was very petite, but she never had a foot like... Oh, Eddie Eddie prided herself that she was very petite, but she never had a foot like Gertie McDowell, with patent toe caps and just one smart buckle over her high-arched instep. And not only does she have the freshest shoes, her ankle is perfectly proportioned.
Yeah. We're spending a page on a woman's foot here.
Perfectly proportioned. She's got some fine spun hose. As for undies, they were Gertie's chief care, and who that knows the fluttering hopes and fears of sweet 17, though Gertie would never see 17 again, can find it in his heart to blame her. She had 4 dinky sets, with awfully pretty stitchery. 3 garments and nighties extra, each slotted with different colored ribbons, rose pink, pale blue, mauve, and pea green. And she aired them herself, and blued them when they came home from the wash, and ironed them, and she had a brickbat to keep the iron on because she wouldn't trust those washerwomen as far as she'd see them scorching the things. She was wearing the blue for luck, hoping against hope, her own color, and lucky too for a bride to have a bit of blue somewhere on her, because the green she wore that day, green meaning envy, brought grief because his father brought him in to study for the intermediate exhibition, and because she thought perhaps he might be out, because when she was dressing that morning, she nearly slipped up the old pair on her inside out, and that was for luck. What? Where is this sentence going? She thought perhaps he might be out because when she was dressing that morning, she nearly slipped up the old pair on her inside out. And that was for... Are they saying she almost put her underwear on inside out?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was for luck and lovers' meeting,
yes.
if you put those things on inside out, or if they got untied, that he was thinking about you so long as it wasn't of a Friday.
Yeah, again,
because
another
Friday is the
superstition.
unluckiest day of the year.
Yes.
And yet,
Yeah.
that strained look on her face, a gnawing sorrow is there all the time. Her very soul is in her eyes, and she would give worlds to be in the privacy of her own familiar chamber, where, giving way to tears, she could have a good cry, and relieve her pent-up feelings, though not too much because she knew how to cry nicely before the mirror. Bitch, if you want to go home and cry, no one is stopping you. You have chosen to sit on a rock on the beach.
Uh-huh.
You are lovely, Gertie, it said, it here being the mirror.
Yeah.
The palely light of evening falls upon a face infinitely sad and wistful. Gertie McDowell yearns in vain.
Do you ever yearn?
You ever just
You ever
yearn? So far, the prose has not been that bad. It's gonna get worse. What else we got here? She's thinking about how the boy called her little one in a husky voice and kissed her on the end of her nose and then left the room. She's thinking about how she doesn't want a Prince Charming. She wants a manly man with a strong, quiet face, perhaps his hair slightly flecked with gray, who would take her in his sheltering arms, strain her to him in all the strength of his deep, passionate nature, and comfort her with a long, long kiss. She yearns.
Doing a lot of that.
She wants to be married. Meanwhile, Eddie Boardman was helping Tommy take a piss. And she was just wondering if she'd ever be married. She's 22 in November. I can't tell if this is Gertie that's 22 or Eddie that's 22. I think it's Gertie. Her griddle cakes, I shit you not, her griddle cakes are done to the perfectest shade of brown, which makes her the finest wife that ever there would be. but she doesn't like eating food and wishes that she could instead eat violets or roses.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Mechanically, you can.
She just longs for something
my
more
God, she-
poetic than eating pancakes.
The funny thing is, she and I share the same anxiety of eating in front of strangers.
You don't
Weird.
eat in front of strangers?
I have an anxiety over like eating in front of a large group of people, like not in a restaurant sense, but in like in a family gathering sense.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know,
I'm
I
just
always
afraid
feel
of my
super-
extended family. But
Oh yeah.
that's normal.
Yeah.
Gertie thinks about...
She thinks so
It's-
much.
I think is perhaps a generous word. She thinks about how, oh, hang on, hold on. I gotta read a sentence out loud to you. So,
Okay, go for it.
this chapter does a lot of this, where the sentence just goes and goes. And you're like, where are you going? The words just keep coming. There should have at least been a comma. What's happening with this sentence? Her griddle cakes, done to a golden brown hue, and Queen Anne's pudding, of delightful creaminess, had won golden opinions from all. Because she had a lucky hand also for lighting a fire, dredge in the fine self-raising flour, and always stir in the same direction. Then cream the milk and sugar, and whisk well the white of eggs, though she didn't like the eating part when there were any people that made her shy, and often she wondered why you couldn't eat something poetical, like violets or roses, and they would have a beautifully appointed drawing room with pictures and engravings and the photograph of Grandpapa Giltrap's lovely dog Gary Owen that almost talked, it was so human, and chintz covers for the chairs, and that silver toast rack in Clary's summer jumble sales like they have in rich houses.
Hell yeah.
That was all one sentence.
Yeah.
She goes from thinking about how her griddle cakes are good to thinking about the house that she would have when she gets married. And how her grandpapa's dog almost talks like a human. Which, if you've been paying close attention, is a throwback to chapter 12 with the dog that spoke Irish. Remember that?
Yes.
No.
You don't have to say yes, but we're gonna say yes.
I
and
don't
move
blame
on.
you if you don't, because it wasn't that important. But, yeah. So, what a sentence. And then Eddie asks Tommy if he's done, and Tommy says he's done peeing. So Eddie buttons up his knickerbockers and tells him to run off and play and be good. But Tommy said he wanted the ball, and Eddie told him no, that Baby was playing with the ball, and if he took it, there'd be wigs on the green, which I guess is an expression that means something. I don't know.
Means yeah, there's gonna be a fight.
He's just gonna
Oh,
fucking
because like
beat-
everyone's throwing the wigs off on the grass to start beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when the aristocrats wore wigs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when the hockey players take their gloves off.
I would say the modern equivalent would be someone going, "Bitch, hold my weave."
Yeah.
It
But
all
Tom-
comes together.
But Tommy said it was his ball and he wanted the ball and he pranced on the ground, if you please. The temper of him. Oh, he was a man already, was little Tommy Caffrey, since he was out of pennies. Eddie told him no, and to be off now with him, and she told Sissy Caffrey not to give in to him. I like the prose when they're talking about the baby and the kids is fun and enjoyable. When it goes back to Gertie, oh, it's not fun. But so Eddie's like, I'd like to give him something, so I would, where I won't say. And then Sissy goes, on the beatadum.
What?
See, it says it right here.
beatadum.
Beatadum.
B-O-T, Tom.
B-O-T, bottom. It's some weird intonation.
Yeah. He's doing a little onomatopoeia there.
And then Gertie
Wow,
McDowell
Sissy's talking.
bends her head down and blushes at the idea of Sissy saying something so unladylike out loud. And how
As bottom.
As bottom, yeah. And how Gertie would be too ashamed to ever say such a thing. And then Eddie remarks that the gentleman opposite probably heard what she said, and Sissy's like, well, I don't care. So this introduces the gentleman,
Yeah.
who, spoilers, is Leopold Bloom. I thought it was Daedalus, because, like, who the hell, well, we'll get into that. I thought it was Daedalus, but actually it's plot twist Bloom, which is not revealed until halfway through the chapter. Although, perhaps you could have figured it out. But if you paid that much attention to the words, I'm sorry, you're wasting your time. Right, so there's a gentleman who's walking across the beach. So Sissy is funny. Gertie's dad is a drunk. Gertie thinks about how, she thinks about how, Patty Dignam died of a stroke, but her dad had too much gout to be able to go to the funeral.
Was that the woman who the funeral earlier in the book was for?
Patty
Am I thinking
Dignam
of someone
was the
else?
guy that died. Mrs.
Yes.
Dignam is the widow that they were talking about in the previous chapter that Leopold Bloom had
right,
gone to
okay.
visit to pay condolences to. And he is now on his way back from visiting Mrs. Dignam, which was one of the errands that he did today. And then some church stuff happens.
Yeah. It's
Um,
like running parallel to the story to provide some sort of commentary on the events.
is there some, like, parallelism between
A little
the
bit.
church
of-
bits and the pining?
Yeah. Because the rosary, I'm going from the annotations here. The sacraments that are going on, or this particular stuff is about, like the death and resurrection and the absolution of Christ. Like when you do this whole thing about forgiveness and resurrection, and so that's why she's kind of sad, because she's hearing this sort of tragedy going on.
The tragedy here being the death of Christ.
The death of Christ, and then she's sort of drawing that in her own sad way to the fact that Patty's dead, and how her father can't seem to find salvation away from alcoholism. This is a lot of guilt going on, which is again
Very Catholic.
This is very Catholic.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really exciting stuff if you know the ins and outs of the liturgy.
Yeah. Had her father only avoided the clutches of the demon drink by taking the pledge, or those powders the drink habit cured in Pearson's Weekly, she might now be rolling in her carriage, second to none. So basically, she's sad that she's poor. Her family's poor because her dad's a drunk. And she's thinking about how booze is bad. And then they hear them singing out to the Virgin. And Sissy calls out to the man that's walking along. He's got a carbuncly nose. And a sandy mustache, a bit white, under his nose. At least, it's really hard to tell from the text. I assume they're describing the man who's walking along.
Mm-hmm.
You never saw him anyway, screwed but still, and for all that, she would not like him for a father because he was too old or something, or on account of his face, or his carbuncly nose with the pimples on it, and his sandy mustache. Maybe she's thinking about her father? I don't know. Needless to say, the important part here is that she has daddy issues,
Yes.
right? She's got big daddy issues. What else? Yeah, so she's thinking about how Patty Dignam died of a stroke. And also something about her mother's birthday. And her mother is like, let that be a warning to you, husband, that you'll die too if you drink like you do. And then he couldn't go to the funeral because he had gout. And Gertie is a good daughter like a second mother in the house, a ministering angel too, with a little heart worth its weight in gold. And when her mother had those raging, splitting headaches, who was it rubbed the menthol cone on her forehead? So I looked this up, and
A menthol cone.
apparently
Please tell me it was just head on apply directly to the
it was
forehead.
straight up head on applied directly to the forehead.
What, like just wax?
Head on.
So I couldn't find a lot of information. So I tried to look this up, and all I got was like, because it's still around as like an alternative medicine thing.
Of course.
It comes with like peppermint oil and chakra aligning prions or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, negative polarity and reverse magnetism.
Oh, we're gonna get to some shit about magnetism later.
Okay.
But yeah. So it was this cure that you would rub it on your forehead. I don't know, maybe the vapors help or something. I tried to look it up and I just found a lot of shit. Apparently it's still a thing. Like they do it in like the Philippines. Menthol cone. I think it was the Philippines. Yeah, like it's popular in the Philippines still. And like as an Asian alternative medicine kind of deal. I can only assume that because it's not sold at CVS, that the efficacy of this is questionable.
At best.
But at least it has an active ingredient, menthol. Unlike
that's a huge
Unlike
oh
that
my,
on
so,
the-
I just realized. So I looked this up the other day when I read it. I got menthol and methanol confused.
Nice.
Just
Okay,
pour
so
alcohol on
menthol
your
stick
forehead.
makes more sense because it's essentially like vapor rub, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I can see how if you've got like an allergy sinus headache, that rubbing menthol cream on your face could help with that. I thought it was methanol, and I'm like,
Fuck
what is
yeah.
that gonna? Is that even safe to put on your skin? What is the methanol gonna do?
Ensure you have a
Menthol
lovely
makes a
time.
lot more sense. Anyway, that's not important. And Gertie
No.
thinks about how she doesn't like how her mother does snuff, and that was the only thing that they ever argued about, is that she does the snuff. But like, I mean, come on. Whose mom doesn't do a little bit of snuff? What was snuff back? It was just tobacco,
tobacco.
right?
It's
Not
tobacco.
tobacco
That
thing.
Still
chewing
is
tobacco,
tobacco.
right?
Well, it's
No,
not chewing tobacco because you don't
no,
chew
it's-
it, but
You snuff it. You literally shove it up your nose.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It goes right up the nose. I wasn't
Oh.
sure if snuff here meant like cocaine.
Oh, I guess I mentally just like took those two like things that are
Are
tobacco
gross.
but not cigarettes and just sort of like merge them together mentally.
Not the grossest way to do tobacco. That is still chewing tobacco, which is
Yes,
absolutely
absolutely.
disgusting.
That is the nastiest shit ever.
Stay far away from anyone who asks for if you have any dip.
Ugh.
No, I don't have any fucking dip. Why would I have dip? Who the fuck still chews tobacco?
So when I was actually in high school, some people on the cross country team like briefly did it. I was like, why?
Christ.
That is disgusting.
It's
Like-
the worst way to get nicotine in you.
It
So bad.
is the grossest shit.
So disgusting.
It's better for your lungs, except like your jaw just rots and falls off.
Oh yeah,
it's just the
it
thing.
destroys your teeth and gums and just is
Yeah.
so nasty.
No, I would rather do cigarettes.
Yeah, at least cigarettes are like sexy, right? How many French art films feature an attractive girl chewing tobacco?
And then spitting it on the ground.
The big honking loogies. Oh, good times. Glad we're finding the fun in this because it's
Yeah.
not in there.
Anyway, she's thinking about how. Oh yeah, so Gertie's the one that turns the gas off the main every night. And she put up that picture of
Yeah.
what? She put up a picture from the Grocer's Christmas Almanac. The picture of halcyon days, where a young gentleman in the costume they used to wear then, with his three-corned hat, was offering a bunch of flowers to his lady love with old-time chivalry through her lattice window. Yeah, so she's got this nice romance picture.
Wait, is it
Um,
Lattice or Lattice?
I think it's
Lattice.
Lattice. I
It's,
don't know.
Lettuce.
Lettuce?
The lettuce window.
The lettuce window.
lattice window, yeah. The
Makes
lattice
sense
window.
because lettuce is probably cheaper than glass.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Though this is.
That seems like a joke about Irish poverty. It's like, no, they
Yes.
don't paint their windows with glass. They paint it with root vegetables.
Although that
Dude,
might
glass
actually be
was
more
a-
expensive.
Decent glass was expensive way back in
Yeah,
the
so
day.
was decent
yeah.
lettuce. I think. I have no idea. Yeah. So, and then she thinks about the word halcyon.
Yeah.
I
Which
was.
is so funny. Yeah. She found out in Walker's pronouncing dictionary that belonged to Grandpapa Giltrap about the halcyon days, what they meant. Yeah, so she had to look up halcyon in the dictionary. Which, to be fair, I also look up halcyon in the dictionary.
Yes, that is relatable.
Halcyon is one of those days. Halcyon is one of those words that like is it's
Yeah.
they call it like a linguistic fossil. In that no one goes like, oh man, I'm feeling so halcyon right now.
It gets used in like one
Yeah.
specific context in
You-
one specific.
You
idiom.
say halcyon days.
yes.
What does halcyon mean? It just means in the past when it was more peaceful. Like that. That's
It's
it.
like how cleft
Yeah,
uh,
I was about to
only
say.
is ever followed with in twain,
Yeah.
or in twain conversely with cleft.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If you ask someone what cleft meant, they'd be like, I don't know, ain't that squiggle on the sheet music? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause we say cleaved now. We don't say cleft. And then the twins are alright, so this is where shit hits the fan, okay?
Oh boy.
This is
You
like
get some drama.
yeah, in the intro to the action movies, right? There's always like the calm, and then suddenly like a skyscraper explodes or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so fasten your fucking seatbelts, motherfuckers. So the twins, they're playing with the ball, but Jackie deliberately kicks the ball really hard down to the rocks to make Tommy
No.
go get the ball. But luckily, the gentleman who was walking by intercepts the ball.
Oh.
And then
Then runs
Sissy
40 yards for a touchdown.
Sissy asks the gentleman to throw the ball to her, please, so that she can take it away from the kids because they've lost their ball privileges. And the gentleman aims the ball once or twice and then throws it up to Sissy, but misses, and it rolls down the slope a bit and stops right next to Gertie, who is sitting on the rock. Okay, so suddenly, Gertie is
Things are
faced
happening.
with a ball. Yeah, things are. It's been 20 pages. We are 20 pages into this chapter. Two things have happened.
Kid pissed behind
Tommy
a tree.
took a piss, and
Now
the
it's a
man
ball.
has thrown a ball, and it landed
Yeah.
by Gertie. So Gertie is now faced with the insurmountable challenge of dealing with his ball, which she wished hadn't come rolling to her. So she kicks it, and then she misses. She kicks and misses. And everyone laughs at her. Humiliating. And she lifts her skirt just a little, but just enough, and took aim and gave the ball a jolly good kick. And it went way far away, and then the twins go chase after her. And now she's got the attention of the man, right? And so Gertie, who has been sitting on the rock, pining for love, realizes that there is now a man. And oh my god, is she the thirstiest son of a bitch. Yeah. So she felt the warm flush, a danger signal always with Gertie McDowell, surging and flaming into her cheeks. Till then they had only
Which
exchanged
cheeks?
Till then they had
Porque no
only
los dos.
exchanged glances of the most casual, but now, under the brim of her new hat, she ventured a look at him, and the face that met her gaze there in the twilight, wan and strangely drawn, seemed to her the saddest she had ever seen. So that's why I assumed it was Daedalus, right?
Yeah.
Because if any man is gonna draw the eye of a woman to reveal the saddest face that anyone has ever seen, it's our boy Stephen Daedalus.
With his my mom is dead.
My mom is dead. Cause if
yeah,
you,
as his only emotion.
yeah, because if you recall, Chapter 3 was literally just him walking along the beach being sad about his dead mom. So I was like, oh, sad guy on the
That's
beach after dark? It can only be Stephen Daedalus.
You fool! You fell
I
for
was a
that
fool.
blunder.
Um,
Yeah, because you forgot to the close reading where the man on the beach was dressed in black. There's only one man in this novel who's been dressed in black all day that we've been following around.
I don't remember what Daedalus was wearing.
It's Leopold Bloom. It's our boy.
Our boy, Poldy Chan himself. And then some church stuff happens.
Yeah. Which is again ironic because the church stuff going on is about Virgin Mary and how in the liturgy how the Virgin is considered immaculate. So she's thinking impure thoughts while the church next door.
Oh,
doing
is
stuff
she?
About
She's thinking the
About-
least pure thoughts you'll ever see. Just wait. We're
Well,
about to get
churches-
deep into Gertie's thoughts.
going deep into Gertie.
So I want you to imagine. Have you ever seen like a Spanish sitcom, like a romance, not a sitcom, a soap opera
Yeah, telenovela.
with like where they clearly realize they have like 30 seconds to pad out, so they just do dramatic like close-ups of the faces and then cut
yes.
to the other face and then cut back to the first person. I want you to just imagine that for the next like 10 pages. Actually, first, hold that thought. Baby. The twins were now playing again, right merrily, for the troubles of childhood are but as fleeting summer showers. Sissy Caffrey played with baby Boardman till he crowed with glee, clapping baby hands in the air. Peep, she cried behind the hood of the pushcar, and Eddie asked, where was Sissy gone? And then Sissy popped up her head and cried, ah! And my word, didn't the little chap enjoy that. And then she told him to say Papa. Say Papa, baby. Say pa, 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 pa. And baby did his level best to say it, for he was very intelligent for 11 months, everyone said, and big for his age, and the picture of health. A perfect little bunch of love. And he would certainly turn out to be something great, they said. Ha-ja, ja, ha-ja. Sissy wiped his little mouth with a dribbling bib, and wanted him to sit up properly and say pa, pa, pa. But when she undid the strap, she cried out, Holy Saint Dennis, that he was possing wet, and to double the half-blanket the other way under him. Of course, his infant majesty was most obstreperous at such toilet formalities, and he let everyone know it. Ha-ba! Ba-ba-ba! Which, you know the video of the dog
Butter baby
on
or,
the dog on the cloud and then the other dog.
Baba.
Ha-ba-ba! That's a
am
fucking
dog.
Ulysses quote. Ha-ba! Ba-ha-ba-ba!
I am the dog of wisdom.
That is some good wisdom. And two great big lovely big tears coursing down his cheeks. It was all no use soothing him with, no, 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 baby, no, and telling about the Gigi, and where was the puff-puff. But Sis, always ready-witted, gave him in his mouth the teat of the sucking bottle, and the young heathen was quickly appeased.
The young.
I just
Have
love
you
the way
met
Joyce talks
babies?
about the baby. It was, of the first half of chapter 13, only baby Boardman gave me the
Only
energy
baby.
to survive the inane musings of Gertie McDowell.
It is
Yeah.
impressive though how even just writing about a baby reduces our author here to baby talk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're just
The juxtaposition of like haba bahaba with obstreperous at such toilet formalities is just so funny.
I love it. Yeah. That's
Anyway,
great.
Gertie thinks about how she wishes that they would leave because the brats are getting on her nerves. But which, like, go home! Why are you with them at the beach?
I think this is one of those things where, like, in the before times, you just hung out with people you didn't like because there was nothing else to do. Like, you couldn't post, or
You couldn't even. Not only could you not post, you couldn't even scroll.
yeah.
Uh,
Sure you
Gertie
could.
gazed out towards the distant sea. It was like the
Anything small?
paintings that man used to do on the pavement with all of the colored chalk. And such a pity, too, leaving them there to be all blotted out, the evening and the clouds coming out, and the Bailey light on Howth, and to hear the music like that, and the perfume of those incense they burn in the church like a kind of waft. And while she gazed, her heart went pit-a-pat. Yes, it was her he was looking at, and there was meaning in his look. His eyes burned into her as though they would search her through and through, read her very soul. Wonderful eyes they were, superbly expressive, but could you trust them? People were so queer. She could see at once by his dark eyes and his pale, intellectual face that he was a foreigner. The image of the photo she had of Martin Harvey. Someone Google that. Who is Martin Harvey?
Martin Harvey.
The
Sir
matinee
John Martin
idol.
Harvey.
I'm guessing
he's an
it's some
actor?
actor, yeah.
Yep. And there's some fun background lore on this guy.
Here's a photo.
Get a
Yeah, when he's apparently his performance of Richard III, apparently caused a riot
How?
when on the Irish nationalists in the audience who wanted him to do Irish plays, and I guess he just didn't.
Huh.
Yeah. The best one is the next name, this Winnie Rippingham, and Winnie Rippingham that wanted they two to always dress the same account of the play, yada yada. But like the annotation, like apart from the context given in this chunk of the novel, identity and significance unknown.
Yeah, there's
so like next, who do you know them? Have you seen them?
So, the Joyce Project annotations, right after where it talks about the photo of Martin Harvey,
Uh-huh.
it says something about the mustache, which
Yeah.
links to Mustache Cup.
What?
mustache cup.
It's like a teacup, but it has a little thing to protect your mustache from the tea.
Fucking English.
Huh.
Interesting.
That's the
I'm not sure what the relevance here to the text is.
That
But,
is the
thanks,
second most
Joyce
British.
Project.
That is the second most British invention
What's the first
It's
in your
because
opinion?
Colonism.
he's made.
So
What?
it says it's because the photo she had of Martin Harvey only for the mustache, which she preferred.
Uh-huh.
Is Bloom the one with the mustache?
Bloom
text-
does have a
the
mustache,
annotations
that's
on
With
right.
a very big mustache, as you can see. You can look at the official artwork that has been brought to life through the magic of live TV.
Mhm.
He was in deep mourning, she could see that, and the story of a haunting sorrow was written on his face. She would have given worlds to know what it was. He was looking up so intently, so still, and he saw her kick the ball, and perhaps he could see the bright steel buckles of her shoes if she swung them like that, thoughtfully, with the toes down. She was glad that something told her to put on the transparent stockings. Thinking Reggie Wiley, that's the boy she likes, might be out, but that was far away. Here was that of which she had so often dreamed. It was he who mattered, and there was joy on her face because she wanted him, because she felt instinctively that he was like no one else. The very heart
Correct.
of the girl woman went out to him, her dream husband, because she knew on that instant it was him. If he had suffered, more sinned against than sinning, or even if he had been himself a sinner, a wicked man, she cared not. Even if he was a Protestant or Methodist, she could convert him easily if he truly loved her. She was a womanly woman, not like other flirty girls, unfeminine he had known, those cyclists showing off what they hadn't got. And she just yearned to know all, to forgive all if she could make him fall in love with her, make him forget the memory of a past. Then mayhap he would embrace her gently, like a real man, crushing her soft body to him, and love her, his ownest girlie, for herself alone.
This is funny. This is.
It is funny.
This is hilarious.
It's
Because remember, it's just this 21-year-old is like falling head over heels for Leopold Bloom,
yeah.
which is, I think that is the joke.
Yes.
Mhm.
Hey, girls, ladies, if you're listening, if you are like this person, if you are like Gertie, please seek help.
If you're looking for your own
I'm
Leopold
gonna be like
Bloom,
those people that to like tell everyone to go to therapy and get 1 million retweets.
no, hold on.
and-
No. If you are madly in love with Leopold Bloom, then you have come to
Right
the
in.
right book club. Please keep watching.
I want.
I don't think
Hit
anyone's
me up.
watching, but
I'm so lonely.
you're not lonely. You have it. You have VTubers.
I do have VTubers.
The Leopold Bloom mask stays on during sex.
The live duty stays on. Put this Vive on.
That's right, ladies. My DMs are closed.
Some more church stuff.
Yes.
Here's a fun one. She's lusting to be a nun. She is lusting about nundom.
Nundum.
Yeah, that's a real
nun,
word,
but a
right?
giant robot.
No,
Yeah.
I was thinking femdom, but nuns.
Nundom.
That
Wow.
exists. That has to exist.
Oh,
does.
yes, it does.
That feels like an
Not a
easy one to
single
exist.
man graduates Catholic school without getting a raging erection at the thought of being scolded by a nun.
Mm.
Wait, is that in the book, or did you just make that up?
He just.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
make that up.
bring it
It's
up.
true. It's a
Sure.
known fact. Anyway,
I was just wondering if Joyce had written that.
Joyce did not write it, but it is implied.
At least he didn't write in this chapter.
Um.
I mean,
So yeah, all right. Gertie could picture the whole scene in the church: the stained glass windows lighted up, the candles, the flowers, and the blue banners of the Blessed Virgin Sodality. What is sodality?
Sodality.
Sodality. Yeah.
A
A confraternity.
fraternity.
Okay.
That doesn't help at all.
What's a confraternity?
Or
A
association,
brotherhood.
Especially a Roman Catholic religious school or brotherhood.
okay. nunnery.
So I think Blessed Virgin Sodality means like the banners of the nuns in the name of the Blessed Virgin.
Yeah.
I think is
Ah.
what they're getting at.
Yes.
And Father Conroy was helping Canon O'Hanlon at the altar, carrying things in and out with his eyes cast down. He looked almost like a saint, and his confession box was so quiet and clean and dark, and his hands were just like white wax, and if ever she became a Dominican nun in their white habit, perhaps he might come to the convent for the novena of Saint Dominic. He told her that time when she told him about that in confession, crimsoning up to the roots of her hair for fear he could see, not to be troubled because that was only the voice of nature, and we were all subject to nature's laws, he said, in this life, and that was no sin, because that came from the nature of woman, instituted by God. So she confessed to the priest that she was horny for being a nun.
Yeah.
Man, Catholicism really is all about guilt.
It's fucking weird. It's yeah. There's a lot of guilt involved. Cool. It's so cool to have it.
And then, the boys start fighting again, and Jackie throws the ball towards the water, which is like some ways away because it's low tide right now.
Mhm.
Which is actually relevant. I didn't think it would be relevant, but it's actually relevant that it is low tide right now. Keep that in mind as we get to the end of the chapter. Someone ought to take them and give them a good hiding for themselves to keep them in their places, the both of them. And Sissy and Eddie shouted after them to come back because they were afraid the tide might come in on them and be drowned. So they go chase off. She goes chase after the kids, and she's running with long, gandery strides, and it's a wonder that she doesn't rip up her skirt. And Gertie hopes that she trips and falls. That would have been a very charming expose for a gentleman like that to witness. More prayer stuff. She catches the twins. She's about to whoop their fucking asses.
As you should.
As she should, yeah. Gotta beat the fear of God in them.
Mm-hmm.
More prayer stuff. Sissy takes them back up the strand. She's got a flimsy blouse. A bit of petticoat hanging like a caricature. Gertie just took off her hat for a moment to settle her hair, and a prettier and daintier head of nut brown tresses were never seen on a girl's shoulders. A radiant little vision, in sooth, almost maddening in its sweetness. You would have to travel many a long mile before you found a head of hair the like of that. She could almost see the swift answering flash of admiration in his eyes that set her tingling in every nerve. She put on her hat so that she could see from underneath the brim, and swung her buckled shoe faster, for her breath caught as she caught the expression in his eyes. He was eyeing her as a snake eyes its prey. Her woman's instinct told her that she had raised the devil in him, and at the thought a burning scarlet swept from throat to brow, till the lovely color of her face became a glorious rose. And then Eddie goes, "Penny for your thoughts?" And Gertie's like, "What?" With a smile reinforced by the whitest of teeth. I was only wondering, was it late? Because she wished to goodness they'd take the snotty-nosed twins and their babby home to the mischief. It does actually say babby here. Babby home to the mischief out of that. So that was why she just gave a gentle hint about its being late. And when Sissy came up, Eddie asked her the time, and Miss Sissy, as glib as you like, said it was half past kissing time, time to kiss again. But Eddie wanted to know because they were told to be in early. Wait, said Sissy, I'll run ask my Uncle Peter over there. What's the time by his conundrum? I don't get the Uncle Peter. What? Because this is Leopold Bloom. This is not any Uncle Peter.
I've got the answer for that.
All right, hit me.
And annotations is slang for a pawnbroker.
But
So there's a pawn shop nearby. Like, I'll ask the pawn shop guy. There's probably got watches in there. On account that it is a pawn shop.
But she's asking Bloom. Is she calling him a pawn shop man? I don't get it.
There might be another one nearby. Like they're on the beach.
No, but she does specifically ask Leopold Bloom.
Yeah.
So over she went, and when he saw her coming, she could see him take his hand out of his pocket, getting nervous, and beginning to play with his watch chain, looking up at the church.
Yeah.
Passionate nature though he was, Gertie could see that he had enormous control over himself. One moment he had been there, fascinated by a loveliness that made him gaze, and the next moment it was the quiet, grave-faced gentleman, self-control expressed in every line of his distinguished-looking figure. Sissy said to excuse her, would he mind please telling her what was the right time? And Gertie could see him taking out his watch, listening to it, and looking up and clearing his throat, and he said he was very sorry his watch was stopped, but he thought it must be after 8 because the sun was set. His voice had a cultured ring in it, and though he spoke in measured accents, there was a suspicion of a quiver in the mellow tones. And then some more church stuff. It was getting darker, but he could see, and he was looking all the time that he was winding the watch or whatever he was doing to it, and then he put it back and put his hands back into his pockets. She felt a kind of sensation rushing all over her, and she knew by the feel of her scalp, and that irritation against her stays that the thing must be coming on because the last time, too, was when she clipped her hair on account of the moon. His dark eyes fixed themselves on her again, drinking in her every contour, literally worshipping at her shrine. If ever there was undisguised admiration in a man's passionate gaze, it was there, plain to be seen on that man's face. It is for you, Gertie McDowell, and you know it. So...
This is probably not true.
It's probably not true.
But I do like the idea of Leopold Bloom like having a like normal expression, but this poor touch-starved 21-year-old is just projecting him being like this sleazy guy going full male gaze at her and
remember,
being excited about that.
It's dark out. It's past sundown. They're out at the beach. The lamplighters haven't gone around to lighting the lamps, but there's not really lamps on the beach, so she can barely see his face.
Yeah. I think that is part of the
Which
joke.
is probably why she's fallen in love, right? Because, like, dark, mysterious stranger walking along the beach. How romantic. Then you see his face, and you're like, ew. It's Leopold Bloom.
Leopold Bloom.
Yeah.
Poor Bloom.
Poor Bloom.
Yeah. Poor man's being bullied for an entire novel.
And then Eddie. Oh, Eddie. Eddie asked if she's sad about the boy, and Gertie winces. A brief cold blaze shone from her eyes that spoke volumes of scorn immeasurable. It hurt. Oh, yes, it cut deep, because Eddie had her own quiet way of saying things like that she knew would wound like the confounded little cat she was. Gertie's lips parted swiftly to frame the word, but she fought back the sob that rose to her throat. So slim, so flawless, so beautifully molded it seemed one an artist might have dreamed of. She had loved him better than he knew, light-hearted deceiver, and fickle like all his sex. He would never understand what he had meant to her, and for an instant there was in the blue eyes a quick stinging of tears. Reminder that the scorn from the boy that she is heartbroken over is that his dad made him stop riding his bike in the afternoon because he needed to study to get into college. That is the betrayal. As if the man has some obligation to ride his bike past Gertie's house. It's just, she is so shallow. I hate her. I hate her so much. Responded Gertie, quick as lightning, laughing, and the proud head flashed up. I can throw my cap at who I like because it's leap year.
What?
Yeah.
It's another thing.
I don't really know.
It's another superstition-y, weird cultural thing. It was considered appropriate for women to get married in leap years. It was considered better for that. I don't know. The past was weird and full of dumb shit, man.
Like, future's weird and full of dumb shit too, but
yeah, well, we're all gonna die soon eventually. So we don't have to worry about this stuff for too much longer.
fair.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So Eddie's getting baby Boardman ready to go, and Sissy's tucking up the ball and the spades and the buckets. And Gertie stifled a smothered exclamation and gave a nervous cough. And Eddie asked what, and she was just going to tell her to catch it while it was flying, but she was ever ladylike in her deportment. So she simply passed it off with consummate tact by saying that was the benediction, because just then the bell rang out from the steeple over the quiet seashore because Canon O'Hanlon was up on the altar with the veil that Father Conroy put round his shoulders, giving the benediction with the blessed sacrament in his hands. And then some more church stuff.
Yep.
And then she's thinking about how she's got like this drawer in her room with nice stuff in it, like a tortoiseshell comb, and her perfume, and her eyebrow liner, and her alabaster Pouncet box, and the ribbons. Yeah. There was the all-important question, and she was dying to know. Was he a married man or a widower who had lost his wife, or some tragedy like the nobleman with the foreign name from the land of song had to have put into a madhouse, cruel only to be kind, but even if, what then? Would it make a very great difference? From everything in the least indelicate, her fine-bred nature instinctively recoiled. She loathed that sort of person, the fallen woman off the accommodation walk beside the daughter that went with the soldiers and coursemen with no respect for a girl's honor, degrading the sex and being taken up to the police station. No, not that. They would be just good friends, like a big brother and sister, without all that, in spite of the conventions of society with a big S. I love the way Joyce says that. Society with a big S.
Yeah, that's because from the lower middle class point of view, again, just referring to the annotations here, just all assumed that everyone in high society was an adulterer.
Yeah, they were.
Which is correct.
Yes. If you were not forced to work an 80-hour manual labor job, there was nothing left to do but bang your friend's wife. Perhaps it was an old flame he was in mourning for, from the days beyond recall. She thought she understood. She would try to understand him, because men were so different. The old love was waiting with little white hands stretched out, with blue appealing eyes. Heart of mine, she would follow, her dream of love, the dictates of her heart that told her he was her all in all, the only man in all the world for her, for love was the master guide. Nothing else mattered. Come what might, she would be wild, untrammeled, free. More church stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some very serious church stuff.
And then there's some fireworks that start going off in the distance.
Oh.
Neat.
Yeah. Very exciting. And Sissy and Eddie are like, come on, Gertie, we're going to go get a better view of the fireworks. But Gertie is like, no, I'm going to sit on my rock. She looked up at him a moment, meeting his glance, and a light broke in upon her. White-hot passion was in that face, passion silent as the grave, and it made her his. At last, they were left alone without the others to pry and pass remarks, and she knew he could be trusted to the death. Steadfast, a sterling man, a man of inflexible honor to his fingertips. His hands and face were working, a tremor went over her. Oh, were working, and a tremor went over her. She looks at the fireworks.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, alright, Alright, so after like 10 pages of this boring bullshit, here's some good shit.
Pretty excited.
You ready?
Yeah.
She seemed to hear the panting of his heart, his hoarse breathing, because she knew, too, about the passion of men like that, hot-blooded.
Because we talked about Bloom's breathing before.
Oh yeah, he's got a wheezy breath.
Yeah, because he eats nothing but kidneys.
And he's kind of
Maybe
overweight.
he should eat some lungs sometime, too.
Because she knew, too, about the passion of men like that, hot-blooded. Because Bertha Supple told her once in dead secret and made her swear she'd never, about the gentleman lodger that was staying with them out of the congested districts board that had pictures cut out of papers of those skirt dancers and high kickers. And she said he used to do something not very nice that you could imagine sometimes in the bed.
What did he mean by this?
What did they mean by this? If anyone knows,
Masturbation.
please email me the answer.
It's masturbation.
Please
Bertha's
email
telling-
me the answer.
Bertha is telling Gertie about the guy stayed with him and he cut out pictures from a magazine and whacked off to it.
Nice.
And
Can you imagine how... I cannot, for the life of me, imagine cutting out pictures of skirt dancers. That's it.
Well,
That's
was
all you
most
had
amount
to
of
get
skin
off
you
to.
could show back then, without being straight up, without going to a burlesque show.
Speaking of burlesque shows,
Wait.
we're gonna hit on that in a bit. This was altogether different from a thing like that because there was all the difference. What? This was altogether different from a thing like that because there was all the difference because she could almost feel him draw her face to his and the first quick, hot touch of his handsome lips. Besides, there was absolution so long as you didn't do the other thing before being married, and there ought to be women priests that would understand without your telling out, and Sissy Caffrey too sometimes had that dreamy kind of dreamy look in her eyes so that she too, my dear, and Winnie Rippingham so mad about actors' photographs, and besides, it was on account of that other thing coming on the way it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
The notations slam her for this. It's like her knowledge on these points is somewhat shaky. Her catechisms would have told her bluntly that impurity is the mortal sin. That meant any deliberate thought, word, look, or deed with oneself or another by which the sexual appetite is aroused outside of marriage.
Yeah, but cut the girl some slack, okay?
Nor is there any reason for her to think that a mortal sin would mean that there's no absolution, since an individual who truly repents and confesses his mortal sins and undertakes penance for it can be absolved of eternal punishment, but not necessarily of temporary punishment in this life or in purgatory. Again, guilt is the main theme. And I'm wondering if this is the chapter that got it banned in places, because we're mixing all this religious stuff with just sex. Because this girl is being I say girl, she's 21. This young woman is being horny as hell.
She's got the mindset of like a 15-year-old.
Than there is in the goddamn ocean next door. And while like the Holy Mass is happening about the Virgin Mary, and like I could feel like if I was a very conservative Catholic in this time, I would consider this obscenity and blasphemy.
Yeah, so there is some other stuff we've seen too.
And I assume these things are here because Joyce is just having a laugh.
Yes,
at Catholicism.
It's gonna get worse, mind you.
Culture.
It's gonna get worse.
Hornier?
Yeah, it's gonna get no, but it's gonna get worse. So she leans back to reveal that she's wearing blue garters. She's literally wearing like all blue. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And she's leaning. She's showing off her knickers.
Hell yeah.
The fabric that caresses the skin. And then the fireworks do the crescendo.
Yeah. What could it mean?
And then, bam! The chapter starts to suck a little bit less. Then all melted away dewily in the gray air. All was silent. Ah! She glanced at him as she bent forward quickly. A pathetic little glance of piteous protest, of shy reproach, under which he colored like a girl. He was leaning back against the rock behind. Leopold Bloom, for it is he, stands silent, with bowed head before those young, guileless eyes. What a brute he had been! At it again! A fair, unsullied soul had called to him. And, wretch that he was, how had he answered? An utter cad he had been, he of all men. So he's not thinking about Gertie right now. He's thinking about when Sissy asked for the time, and all he could say was, my watch is stopped, but it's sunset, so it must be 8 o'clock-ish. But there was an infinite store of mercy in those eyes. For him, too, a word of pardon, even though he had erred and sinned and wandered. Should a girl tell? No, 1,000 times no. That was their secret. Only theirs, alone, in the hiding twilight, and there was none to know, or tell, save the little bat that flew so softly through the evening. Yeah, I missed this before, but there was a bat been flying around. Very exciting. And then Gertie.
So cool.
Gertie has the absolute galaxy brain idea of taking out the cotton that's got her perfume in it and waving it around in the air.
Oh.
Because she's about to go, right? So she gets up to leave, and she gives him a little smile, and she waves it around so that he'll smell the perfume. And then, she walked with a certain quiet dignity, characteristic of her, but with care, and very slowly, because Gertie McDowell was tight boots? No, she's lame. Oh! Yeah, plot twist, she's got a bum leg.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's right, folks. We're making fun of the disabled this week.
It's... And now...
I thought this was just like, oh, that's an earlier use of lame in the sense of she just is lame
Nah,
No,
she's...
okay.
I mean, yeah, she
She's
is,
actually
but no,
disabled.
she's got a bad leg. And
in
then,
the literal sense.
now, after 32 pages of misery... 42 pages of misery.
Oh yeah.
It's now Leopold Bloom's turn to think dumb thoughts. And right out the gate, he starts thinking some thoughts. Mr. Bloom watched her as she limped away. Poor girl. That's why she's left on the shelf, and the others did a sprint. Yeah, because the others had, like, run off without her, and she's walking along later. Thought there was something wrong by the cut of her jib. Jilted beauty. A defect is 10 times worse than a woman, but makes them polite.
Okay.
Makes them
Wow.
polite.
Wow.
Leopold Bloom, woman
It
respecter.
gets worse. Glad I didn't know it when she was on show. Hot little devil all the same. I wouldn't mind. Curiosity, like a nun, or a negress, or a girl
Okay.
with glasses.
We're just getting worse and worse.
It's so fucking... Bloom's like, well, you know,
Eh,
busted leg. It's a
so
fetish.
forgot
It's up there with nuns and black women and girls with glasses. That squinty one is delicate. Near her monthlies, I expect. Monthlies meaning period.
Period.
Yeah.
Makes them feel ticklish. I have such a bad headache today. Where did I put the letter? Yes, all right.
And we're
All
Yeah,
kinds
but-
of crazy longings. Licking pennies. Girl in Tranquilla Convent that nun told me liked to smell rock oil. Virgins go mad in the end, I suppose. Sister? How many women in Dublin have it today? Martha, she. Something in the air. That's the moon. But then why don't all women menstruate at the same time with the same moon, I mean? Depends on the time they were born, I suppose. Or all start scratch, then get out of step. Sometimes Molly and Millie together. I'm so glad Bloom is back. I missed you. And then
Bloom and
he,
all of his awful
he starts to
thoughts.
think about pornography.
finally. Thank God.
Yes. Mutascope pictures in Capel Street for men only. Peeping Tom, Wiley's hat, and what the girls did with it. So a peeping Tom, a mutascope is, did you ever have those things as a kid that kind of looked like binoculars, but it had like a wheel of like pictures?
Viewfinder.
Yeah, a viewfinder. So it's like a viewfinder, in that it's like a thing set up.
Stereoscopic thing.
Yeah. And you would put in like 2 pence, and it would play a short reel of film. And traditionally, this was softcore pornography. It would be like burlesque dancers or half nude women. And they would have titles like, so the title would always advertise more than what you actually got, typically. So like Willie's hat and what the girls did with it. There was one, I looked this up. There was a famous one called What the Butler Saw. That presumably, right, was like the butler peering through like the keyhole, seeing a woman undressing. And this was so popular that it became, they would literally call these things the What the Butler Saw machines, which is just such a more catchy name than Mutascope, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
do they snapshot those girls, or is it all a fake? Lingerie does it. Felt the curves inside her deshabille. Excites them also when they're... Period. I'm all clean, cum, and dirty me. And they like dressing one another for the sacrifice. Yeah, he's thinking about clothes now. He's thinking about girls' clothes, his clothes, the clothes that he wore. He does a lot of thinking about, like, his wife. For the rest of this chapter. His lovely shirt was shining beneath his what? Question mark. And And then he thinks about nuns kissing. I love Bloom. Girlfriends at school, arms round each other's necks or with 10 fingers locked. Kissing and whispering secrets about nothing in the convent garden. Nuns with whitewashed faces. Cool coifs and their rosaries going up and down. Vindictive too for what they can't get. Barbed wire?
What?
Because if you recall, way back in chapter like 5, Bloom was thinking about how nuns invented barbed wire.
Yeah.
Which is not true. I'd like to point out, barbed wire was kind of invented like independently by several people, like ranchers out in the American Midwest, right? Was not nuns.
Unless if he's like, I don't know how horny we can get on this podcast before Jeff comes down and bans us.
No
Must
one
be
is
so-
watching.
I'm watching. Morgan might be
I
watching.
have it up, and I think that's it. So, like, unless I want to ban us.
No,
Oh,
please
it
don't
is-
ban me.
I wonder if Mort ever followed through on dropping acid. That'll be
God,
funny.
I hope. Live her best life. I cannot imagine a more boring thing to drop acid to, though, to be honest.
I don't know. This is pretty sexy stuff. He's thinking about nuns and barbed wire. Maybe both at the same time.
I
all wrapped around
love
each
his
other.
train of
Hot
thought.
stuff.
That's like,
Just-
Nuns. Oh yeah,
it's
barbed
like,
wire.
it's like, girl, sexy things, porn machine, nuns kissing, barbed wire.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
goes on like this for a while.
Alright. Let me catch up in my notes here. Bloom thinks about flirting. He wonders why that girl was so interested in him. Valid. Very valid thing to ponder.
Good question.
Yep.
I would like to know
Um,
too because
Bloom thinks about. So he thinks about like a dozen things per page, but I only picked out the ones that are at least mildly interesting. If I'm not, everything else is either him thinking about like his wife, or the girl, or just like random shit. It doesn't matter. His daughter, stuff like that. The letter. The time he forgot his tie. Funny, my watch stopped at 4:30. Dust. Shark liver oil they used to clean. Could do it myself. Save. I don't. Oh, he also thinks about how he's wet. Because he's walking by the beach.
just moist.
Yeah, it's damp. Or maybe it was raining. I don't know. Yeah, a whole lot of nothing for several pages here.
I can confirm.
Thinks about kissing. Thinks about when he kissed Molly. Thinks about the fireworks. Thinking about the girls watching the fireworks.
I was about to ask, is he just standing there thinking this on the beach?
I assume
Then I
he's
remembered-
walking along the beach, but he may
I
very well
remembered you
just be
had
standing there.
mentioned at the beginning of this that this all takes place over like what was it, 2 minutes?
It's not a lot of time. Yeah.
No more than 20 minutes, I would say, because if it was after the sunset, but still light enough to see to go to the beach, but it being dark fast enough that it would make sense for fireworks to go off.
Yeah, so the chapter ends with the church bells ringing 9 o'clock. So that's like that you can set the time to that. He thinks about a typist going upstairs 2 at a time. I don't know. She thinks about that time that Molly put the change in her stocking to carry it home. Alright, someone help me figure out what this is supposed to be. Oh, here. Alright, here's some actual good stuff. Alright, get ready. A monkey puzzle rocket bursts, spluttering in darting crackles. Zrads and zrads, zrads, zrads. And Sissy and Tommy and Jackie ran out to sea, and Eddie after with the pushcar, and then Gertie beyond the curve of the rocks. Will she? Watch, watch. She looked round. She smelt an onion. Darling, I saw all.
Yep.
So, all right, let's play a game.
Definitely fireworks going off.
We're gonna play a game, and this game is called "Did Gertie smell an onion metaphorically, or does
Yes.
Leopold Bloom smell like onions?"
Metaphor.
Place your bets
I
now.
have the annotations.
Way to ruin
Yeah,
the
no.
game, jackass!
No fun allowed.
I was absolutely going to guess that it was literal because he eats fucking livers.
Yeah, he eats liver and onion. All right, Brandon, what does smell
Yeah.
an onion mean?
I'm gonna kill the fun here. 'Cause apparently, this is a reference that says again. This is how the annotation goes. From a joke about a man who is determined to keep himself free from any entanglement with women. In order to fulfill his determination, he ate a raw onion whenever contact with women was imminent. His scheme and self-discipline collapsed when he met a woman who found his oniony breath extraordinarily attractive. That old joke we all know. You know that old joke about the guy who ate the onion? Hilarious.
That's a real
Miller.
Joe Miller right there.
That's a real Joe Miller trying to say.
Oh, it's good shit. All right.
You can't just tell me that it came from a joke without telling me what the joke is. I don't
All right,
know
lads,
these
you all
things.
got your thought.
Came
got
from a
onion-
Joe Miller.
An onion a day keeps the thoughts away. That's how I maintain my virginity. It's all in the onions.
Is that why it works on vampires?
Yeah. No, that's garlic.
Oh right.
You just
Um,
need more onions.
all right, so I'm gonna speed run some of this here. Here's some
Please.
thoughts. All right, get ready for thoughts. Bloom thinks about how as a kid he was bad at throwing, and he always has been, which is why he threw the ball at the wrong place.
I can relate to that. The embarrassment of like a ball going towards you, and they're like, "Hey, throw it back," and then you do, and you just throw it the complete wrong fucking direction.
Yeah. Marry in May and repent in December. This wet is very unpleasant. Stuck. Well, the foreskin is not back. Better detach. Ow.
Huh.
Other hand, a
Alright.
6-footer with a wifey up to his watch pocket. What did he mean by this? Now, Bloom is going to think some wrong thoughts.
Oh boy.
Again.
Is it more wrong than when Bloom first began thinking in this chapter?
It is more incorrect but less offensive.
Okay.
Very strange about my watch. Wristwatches are always going wrong. Wonder is there any magnetic influence between the person, because that was always about the time he... Yes, I suppose at once. Cats away, the mice will play. I remember looking in Pill Lane. Also that now is magnetism. Back of everything magnetism. Earth, for instance, pulling this and being pulled. That causes movement. And time, well, that's the time the movement takes. Then if one thing stopped, the whole gazebo would stop bit by bit because it's all arranged. Magnetic needle tells you what's going on in the sun, the stars, little piece of steel iron. When you hold out the fork. So I guess he's confused watches with compasses?
No, actually.
No?
Again, no fun allowed. This is the easy part about this chapter, since there is no subtext. Annotations would be like, no, this is what's going on. This is what's going on.
Thanks, annotations.
He is confused. Early mechanical, early battery, early pocket watches, and specifically his wristwatch, or the concept of wristwatches were. No, hold on. I'm gonna try to put this in order here. Early wristwatches didn't have good wiring, so they would interfere with themselves and tell the wrong time. Then that gets him going on magnetic needles, because he's getting confused with a magnetometer, which is a fucking thing we point at the sun and we can tell if there's sunspots going on or not.
Cool.
He's confusing stuff he has read, and just all the Bloom thoughts are just happening all at once.
They sure are.
Yeah, he's moving. He's just thinking at a furious pace.
And then he smells the perfume. And he's like, how do I smell the... What? He's thinking about the perfume. What is it? Heliotrope? Hyacinth? Roses, I think. And then he's wondering how it is that he's able to smell it. Why did I smell it only now? Took its time in coming like herself. Slow but sure. Suppose it's ever so many millions of tiny grains blown across. Which is, I guess, like, kind of true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Sure.
more vapors than dust.
I mean, well, it's
but-
airborne water particulate.
Yeah. Your aromatic volatiles. Thinks about stockings. Thinks about bath water. Oh, he's thinking about how his wife smells
Gator Girl
nice.
bathwater.
Know her smell in 1,000. Bath water too. Reminds me of strawberries and cream. Wonder where it is, really. There, or the armpits, or under the neck, because you get it out of all holes and corners. Hyacinth perfume made of oil or ether or something. Muskrat.
Leopold Bloom wife bathwater.
Bag under their tails. One grain pour off odor for years. Dogs at each other behind. Good evening. Evening. How do you sniff? Very well, thank you. Animals go by that. Yes, now, look at it that way. We're the same. Some women, instance, warn you off when they have their period. Come near. Then get a hogo you could hang your hat on. Like what? Potted herrings gone stale. Or boof. Please keep off the grass. What? Perhaps they get a man smell off us. What, though? Cigar-y gloves Long John had on his desk the other day? Breath? What you eat and drink gives that. No. Man smell, I mean. Must be connected with that, because priests are supposed to be different. Women buzz around it like flies around treacle. Railed off the altar, get on to it at any cost. The tree of forbidden priest. Oh, Father, will you let me be the first to that diffuses itself all through the body, permeates, source of life, and it's extremely curious, the smell. Celery sauce. Let me. I don't know. And then he sniffs. He does some sniffing. And then he smells the soap that's in his pocket, which reminds him that he was supposed to go back to the chemist or the pharmacist or whoever it was and pick up the bottle that he left to get filled up and to pay for the soap, because he was going to pay for the soap when he paid for the, I think it was perfume that he was getting. And he forgot to do that, so he'll have to go by tomorrow. And he's like, "Aw, man, what do I do? What do I say? I'll show up and I'll be like, how much do I owe you? 3 and 9?" And then he'll go 2 and 9, but it makes me seem generous, right? Because he's like, I don't want him to be upset that I walked off with the soap that I said I would pay for later and then didn't pay for later, which I can relate, right? Like, imagine the anxiety. And then he imagines him writing a book titled The Mystery Man on the Beach, prize tit-bit story by Mr. Leopold Bloom. And then he thinks about the guy at the grave in the brown Macintosh. Which, if you'll recall, there was a guy in a brown Macintosh at Patty Dignam's funeral. Which, for some reason, like, keeps getting mentioned again. I don't understand the relevance there.
Nobody does.
So I do know that, in Dubliners, I believe it was Dubliners, or one of his other works, there was a character who had a Macintosh coat. And I'm guessing this references that. I don't really know. He thinks about how it's best to spray the plants in the shade after the sun is down, which is correct, because you want the water to get absorbed in the plant, not evaporate. Some light still. Red rays are longest. Roy G. Biv, Vance taught us. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. A star I see. I'm going to not go on my rant about indigo.
Save that one for another time.
Well, I could do a whole damn podcast about how much I fucking hate the color indigo. Jesus Christ.
That's a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, Patreon exclusive. Trees, optical illusion, mirage, land of the setting sun. This home rule sun setting in the southeast, my native land. Good night. All right.
Which would have been a perfectly great place to end the chapter, but then it just keeps going for like 10 more pages, because fuck you.
Yeah. Here's a good passage. Tired I feel now. Will I get up? Oh, wait. Drained all the manhood out of me, little wretch. She kissed me. Never again. My youth. Only once it comes, or hers. Take the train there tomorrow. No, returning not the same. Like kids, your second visit to a house. The new I want. Nothing new under the sun. Care of P.O. Dolphin's barn. What? Something about dolphins? Are you not happy in your, naughty darling, at Dolphin's barn charades in Luke Doyle's house? Matt Dillon and his bevy of daughters. Tiny, Addie, Floey, Mamie, Louie, Hetty, Molly too. 87 that was, year before we, and the old major, partial to his drop of spirits. Curious, she an only child, I an only child. So it returns. Think you're escaping and run into yourself. Longest way round is the shortest way home. And just when he and she, circus horse walking in a ring. Rip Van Winkle, we played. Rip. Tear in Henny Doyle's overcoat. Van. Bread van delivering. Winkle. Cockles and periwinkles. Then I did Rip Van Winkle coming back. She leaned on the sideboard watching. Moorish eyes. 20 years asleep in Sleepy Hollow. All changed. Forgotten. The young are old. His gun rusty from the dew. Bah! What is that? Flying about. Swallow. Bat, probably. Thinks I'm a tree, so blind. Have birds no smell? Question mark. Metempsychosis. Which, if you'll recall, is Greek for reincarnation. As we read in chapter 4.
Yep. It's all there in the text.
It all is coming together now. Thinks about birds. Thinks about colors. Colors depend on the light you see. Stare the sun, for example, like the eagle, then look at a shoe, see a blotch blob yellowish.
Do not look at the sun. No. Editor's note, do not stare at the sun.
Yeah, so I'm no expert at staring at the sun, but if you looked at the sun and then looked down at... If you looked at the sun and then looked down at the shoes, wouldn't you see a bluish blob? Because the sun is yellowish, so that's going to, like, burn out the yellow receptors.
I haven't stared at the sun in a while.
All right, well, hold on. All right, my ceiling light... My ceiling light is roughly sun-colored, so I'm going to look at this for, like, 5 seconds. And I'm going to look at my...
science now.
As Alex proceeds to burn out his cornea.
Yeah, you see a dark blue blob because you just looked at bright yellow.
Well, he doesn't. He's fine. He doesn't need to look. He doesn't know what the sun looks like.
Wait,
his office doesn't
hold
have
on.
any windows.
Is the Irish sun blue? Because if
Yes.
if the sun is blue in Ireland, then you would see yellow.
Yes. Yeah. The sun's blue in Ireland.
Okay. We cracked the code.
It's a rare phenomenon. That every on the 7th year, the 7th month. It's yeah.
But not on a Friday.
Not on a Friday, of course. In honor, it's called Saint Bartholomew's sun, where the sun is blue for 15 minutes.
It's like the Green Flash.
Yeah. Well, the Green Flash is real.
So is Bartholomew's son.
Yes, of course.
He thinks about some more things. He thinks about some Jew stuff.
Oh boy.
Exciting.
It's not exciting and it's not anti-Semitic. He's just actually thinking about and the Tefillim. No, what's this they call it? Poor Papa's father had on his door to touch. So Tefillim is Hebrew for prayer. What he is thinking of is the mezuzah, which I don't know if you've ever seen one. It's like this skinny box thing, a couple inches long, maybe half an inch wide, that'll be put on a doorway, slightly crooked. One of the commandments in the Torah is to bind the words of the Lord as a sign upon your gates and on your forehead. So the mezuzah has a prayer on a little piece of paper rolled up in it. It goes on there. If you ever go to like a synagogue, they'll have one on the doors and stuff. And he forgot the name of it. And called it a tefillin. Because he's not a real Jew. I mean that, like, he's not actually Jewish. He's of Jewish descent, but I get the feeling this man's never been to a synagogue. Do fish ever get seasick?
Great sentences of our time.
Yeah. Alright, what else? Whole lot of nothing. There's some bit here in Spanish that I'm not going to bother translating.
Okay.
What page?
Top of 696.
Top of
I'm pretty sure
696.
it's just like, good evening, lady.
Yeah, good night.
Uh,
Yeah, the man here loves you a lot. Yeah.
he thinks about how they were selling ladies' gray flannelette bloomers for 3 shillings a pair. Astonishing bargain. Plain and loved, loved forever, they say. Thinks about UP Up, which is just so fucking funny.
It is. It's still
Peak
very
comedy,
funny.
yeah. And then here's the part that actually gets interesting. We are
Oh, boy.
67 pages into the chapter. And this is what actually matters. Mr. Bloom stooped and turned over a piece of paper on the strand. He brought it near his eyes and peered. Letter? No. Can't read. Better go. Better. I'm tired to move. Page of an old copybook. All those holes and pebbles. Who could count them? Never know what you find. Bottle with a story of a treasure in it. Thrown from a wreck. Parcels post. Children always want to throw things in the sea. Trust. Bread cast on the waters. What's this? Bit of stick. Oh, exhausted that female has me. Not so young now. Will she come here tomorrow? Wait for her somewhere forever. Must come back. Murderers do. Will I? This is from like the murderers always return to the scene of the crime thing, which is
Yes.
the dumbest thing ever. No, they don't. They're like the least likely person to go back to the crime scene, unless you're O.J. Simpson.
Innocent? maybe OJ didn't do it.
Mr. Bloom, with his stick, gently vexed the thick sand at his foot. Write a message for her. Might remain. What? I. Some flat-foot tramp on it in the morning. Useless. Washed away. Tide comes here. Saw a pool near her foot. Bend. See my face there. Dark mirror. Breathe on it. Stirs. All these rocks with lines and scars and letters. Oh, those transparent. Besides, they don't know. What is the meaning of that other world? I called you naughty boy because I do not like. That's a line from the letter that he got from his sexy pen pal. Am A. No room. Let it go. Mr. Bloom effaced the letters with his slow boot. So he was gonna write a thing, and then I guess he gave up on it.
I am fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. No fear of big vessels coming up here, except Guinness's barges, round the Kish in 80 days, done half by design. He flung his wooden pen away. The stick fell in silted sand, stuck. Now, if you were trying to do that for a week on end, you couldn't. Chance. So he's done like the medieval. He's done the 1910s equivalent of the water bottle flip.
Thrown a pen and just have it.
Yeah,
lay
he
straight up.
threw a stick, and
A
the stick
stick,
landed.
rather.
Yeah. Good throw.
Come on, Mr. Leopold Bloom, hit the dad.
Yeah. And then we get on to the actual bit here. A bat flew. Here, there, here. Far in the gray, a bell chimed. Mr. Bloom, with open mouth, his left foot sanded sideways, leaned, breathed, just for a few. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. The clock on the mantelpiece in the priest's house cooed, where Canon O'Hanlon and Father Conroy and the Reverend John Hughes, S.J., were taking tea and soda bread and butter and fried mutton chops with ketchup, and talking about cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Because it was a little canary bird that came out of its little house to tell the time that Gertie McDowell noticed the time she was there, because she was as quick as anything about a thing like that, was Gertie McDowell, and she noticed at once that the foreign gentleman that was sitting on the rocks looking was cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. So I think the wordplay here, right, is that Leopold Bloom is cuckoo. Anyway, that's the chapter.
Yeah.
It could have been 10 pages, but instead it was 70.
It could have.
Yeah. I didn't
One
really
last
have
bit
a whole
about
lot of
the
fun
cuckoo.
with this one. this
Apparently, this is a partial throwback to Chapter 9.
which one
But in
was
this
chapter
context,
9?
Yeah, this is seen as an omen, for referencing a thing where like a young woman wanting to know when she'll be married, asks it, and then it cuckoos 9 times, which it could mean 9 years till marriage. But then it fucking decides to drop numerology on us, which is like the fakest of all of the weird.
Hey, don't you be
supernatural
talking shit
bullshit.
about Gematria.
Well, that's the only legitimate one, but just
Yeah,
random.
Gematria makes sense because Hebrew uses the same glyphs for numerals as they do for characters.
Yeah, but apparently 9 in numerology is the number of completeness and eternity. Sure.
Yeah, because it's 3 threes, baby!
And so when she's asking this cuckoo clock when she'll be married, it might mean never, which was a pretty sad ending to this chapter that starts kind of light and fluffy.
Yeah,
and,
it just
like,
starts with
almost
some kids playing in the
obnoxiously,
sand.
and then it gets really sad and depressing at the end, as like everyone involved who is like aware of themselves, like, well, guess I'll never be loved. The end.
Yeah, so that's the chapter.
That's it.
Probably my least favorite so far.
No, I still think the Shakespeare chapter is the worst, because at least
At
the
least
end
the
of this
Shakespeare
one,
chapter had something to say about something.
yeah, but that chapter was annoying to me because it's like, actually I didn't care about anything I was arguing. I was just trolling.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. That was great because at the end, yeah, they're like, "You actually believe this?" And he's like, "No, hell no."
Which might be more of a modern problem, because you're dealing with idiots like that on the internet who will just who do that, I guess, for fun.
Yeah. Now, just from looking at like the first like page of the next chapter, it looks like it's gonna be not as bad as this one. So look forward to that next Wednesday.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the cuckoo to you.
No, don't maybe look forward to it. Definitely look forward to it because it's definitely happening next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. All right.
If it doesn't
that's the
happen
show.
Wednesday.